What's up, good people? It's your boy Jay Free coming back at you again as usual. Just trying to share knowledge with my people in the hopes, that I can spark one. Each one reach one, each one teach one. Just trying to spark somebody's interest. Some things I've been dealing with. Now we gonna get into this little thing talking about the truth about Christianity, and we exposing the lie. I won't be able to do this in one video. I believe I'm only allowed like 20 or 30 minutes right now. I'm low budget, sitting in my garage as usual, but the message is real, people. Um, when we begin to look at religion as a whole, and I just say religion as a whole because we have to remember, understand now we exist within the system of racism, white supremacy, and so that means they control everything. Now, there are three major religions that exist today. There's Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. And all of them are pretty much one and the same. If you really understand the religions and look at them from their roots, I mean, they're really the same. All three of them worship the same God. Islam calls them Allah, but they really that just means the all, the same as the I am. But if you notice, all three are worshiping the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So all three religions are really one and the same. The Islam's, is a long time argument between Ishmael being the firstborn, but then the Christians say, but he was the son of the bondwoman, and so Isaac's the firstborn. But it was really all created, fabricated by the Jews, the small hats in the first place, because they're the ones that sit behind the scenes and operate everything. I just choose, however, to focus mainly on Christianity, and the reason being is because I'm a licensed and ordained minister, as I've mentioned before in my videos. And so I believe that my experience and credentials, for over 10 years gives me, the right to talk about it because I've lived it and I've dwelled into it. I've went through the process to become licensed and then ordained over 6 years of education. And so I believe that gives me, somewhat of a credential, but it's more than just my credentials or my experience. The reason why I feel that this is such a topic to talk about is because I share the sentiments of our sister Barbara Hillary. In her statement, she says that Christianity is the greater shackle or the greater rape and the greater shackle of the black man than slavery ever was. And I've even expounded this on my other videos, but you have to understand the profoundness of the statement because we understand what slavery was and we understand the brutality of slavery. We understand the physical bondage of slavery. We understand the mental bondage of slavery, physical, social, emotionally, and everything about it. We also understand that it completely stripped a people of their culture and their history, and we've had to completely try to, start all over and rebuild from absolutely nothing with absolutely no idea of who we even were to begin with. And with all of the problems and with all that went into slavery and how it affected us as a people, she makes the statement to say that Christianity still was greater than all of those things combined. And I say today as a witness that I agree with Sister Barbara Hillary. I believe that Christianity is the greatest rape and the greatest shackle of the black mind than there could ever be. And so as we begin to tie everything together in regards to the information that is available to us today, we understand that we have been lied to. We understand that our history and our culture have been hidden and stripped away from us, like I say, through slavery. And so as we understand all that happened through slavery, but then now, with all the new information that's available today, especially Sister Michael Brown case in Ferguson, which really sparked interest amongst a lot of people because people got to a point of being tired and fed up with the same everyday routine that's been happening to us as a people. And I'm so grateful that the awakening has come, but we still have to continue to knock on the minds of our people. But as we pay attention to videos like Hidden Colors and Fighting the Poltergeist, understanding knowledge, that's being, it's so much information that's available out here today. We can videos, books, as we can look and see everything that's going on around us. There's no longer a secret that we exist in the system of racism, white supremacy. Statistics as well as experience lets every person of color know that things are not equal and that we definitely exist in the system that's been set aside and have been designed to keep us on a lower level as well as to eventually annihilate us. And as we understand this, as we understand the things that are going on around us, we have to then take a moment and see exactly where we are and how we got here. You see what I'm saying? We have to we realize now that we were dragged here from our motherland, and we realize now that we've been stripped of our identity and our culture, our history, and we realize that we've been lied to. And we realized that what they told us was truth is not truth. We realized that we were not animals. We realized now that we were actually the mothers and fathers of creation and civilization. We realized that we attributed more to society and civilization than they've given us credit to, because we are the founder of it. And as we realize these lies, now we come to this truth. Now we pause. We got to pause and take a moment and realize, wait a minute. If these things are true, if I'm not an animal from a cave, if I'm not, a slave, if I was a king, if I was a queen, if I had my own, how did I end up in this position and in this predicament that I'm in? We have to pause for a moment. And when we realize that our past has been a lie, and that our history is taken and that everything we've been told was truth is a lie, at the moment that we realize that it's been a lie, then at that very exact same moment, we realize, wait a minute, I don't know exactly where I am or even who I am. An example would be if I was to go to war in another country and I'm fighting in war and we got ambushed and I got attacked, and something happened and I'm unconscious. But when I wake from my unconscious state and I look around, and everything around me is strange. I'm in a strange place. I'm around strange people. And I'm in a strange land. And I have amnesia. So I don't even have any idea or recollection of who I am or who I was prior to. So at this point, now I enter into a state of servitude because I don't know who I am or what belongs to me or what my rights are or where my home really is, who my family is. I know none of these things. All I know is I'm alive. And these people here now, I'm here with them. So now they put me to work and I'm working for them and I'm under servitude. And they give me 3 hots in the cot. And so I feel like that I should be thankful, you see what I'm saying, because they giving me 3 hots in the cot. And that's only because I have no idea of who I am or where I am at. But then the time comes and now I'm living in this state of servitude and I have a family, and then my family, I grow up, my kids grow up, generations of us being over here in this land where I have amnesia from the war and don't know who I am. Now my kids grow up and they grow up in the same servitude that I was in the same living conditions and environment that I was in, because they don't know any better, just like I didn't know any better. They only can follow in what I left behind, but we didn't know any better. Now all of a sudden, new information starts to surface and I start seeing pictures and videos of people that look like me and people that are like me, and I start to say, wait a minute, who are those? And then I get new information that tells me who I am and where I actually originally come from, and starts to give me a new knowledge and information about my culture and my identity, and helps me to begin to identify myself. At this point, you see what I'm saying? That generation of my ancestors that are left there, at this point, as they begin to see this, they have to come to a realization and they say, wait a minute, why are we over here then living like this, in this condition, and in this environment, when these are our people and this is not? You see what I'm saying? And this is where we are today. You see what I'm saying? This is the conflict that we have with our people today as a black community that we are facing with Christianity, is the need for us to realize where we are. We are in a strange land, in a strange place, with amnesia, no idea or recollection of who we are or where we come from. You see what I'm saying? And this is why but like I say, we take a moment and we pause and we look at where we are. and say, how did I get here? So like I say, we look out and we see our community is impoverished. You know what I'm saying? It's gang ridden, it's violence. We realize that the family structure is null and void, that it really doesn't exist in its proper order and function as our ancestors, as movies like Hidden Colors and so on and so forth, reveal to us. We realize that we are at the bottom of the totem pole economically, even though we one of the top spenders. You see what I'm saying? And we the hardest workers. And we built and invented and created most of what exists. So how did we end up at the bottom? You see what I'm saying? But our problem is not that we don't recognize or not that we don't acknowledge, what's going on. Like I said before, this is not a secret anymore. We acknowledge that we exist in a system that's unequal and unfair. But this is where cognitive dissonance comes in. You see what I'm saying? Where we talked about the art of lying to oneself in my other video, cognitive dissonance. And see, this is where the new information comes. We don't want to accept it. See what I mean? It's not that we don't see truth. I just explained it in videos and other information. It's not that we don't see that there's error in what's going on. It's not that I don't know that going to church every Sunday is doing nothing for me. I see my community still impoverished. I see my people still in desperation and despair. It's not that I don't see what's happening. It's just that this new information challenges me. It scares me, because what you're saying to me now is that all of my generations, my grandfathers and my grandmothers and my fathers and you're telling me that they all were unaware of this truth, and you telling me that I've been living a lie and everything in my life is based on this lie. But again, as I said in other videos, it's kind of like the pimp in religion. It's not that we don't see the error of the way. It's just that we too afraid to let go. You see what I'm saying? And this is why we don't want to accept it. We fight the new information. We will go to any extent, like I explained about the cognitive dissonance in my other video, and that is the fact that a person with cognitive dissonance psychologically, you see what I'm saying? It's the same reaction as a person who is a fear of not eating because they're hungry. They go to any extent to eat. You go to any extent to fight off the truth. And I find in a lot of conversations that I have with Christians, especially as a former preacher, I'm the black sheep now. Everybody casts me out. But the reality is they know truth. They see truth. They just scared to accept it. And one of the biggest problems that I have, and I hope anybody that listens to my video does what I'm about to say, because the biggest problem that I have is they'll dispute with me without researching the evidence. They won't dispute based on the evidence. They will dispute because they don't want to hear or review the evidence. Any information that's given, go and research it for yourself. You see what I'm saying? You go search and make sure that it is so for yourself. You see what I'm saying? Because truth is truth, and it'll always stand. It doesn't need anybody to support it. That's why I can stand firm on what I'm saying. Like I say, I was a gospel minister for over 10 years. And so I was in it. I was brainwashed. I was lost. I was blind. And I understand the difference in having in my eyes awakened. And the challenges that you face as a Christian when this new truth comes to you is hard to accept, because you become an outcast. But see, it's not that we don't want to accept the new information. It's the fact that we are programmed not to accept it. It's not even our fault. Remember now, the war that we are in is a psychological warfare. We talked about the weapons being psychological. We talked about the white power structure, that the power, the racism, white supremacy power. And we talked about the power creating the culture, which leads to racism. When you understand the power, remember we talked about that means that they have the power. They have the financial resources. They have everything necessary to influence power. That's where racism comes in. They have the ability to influence, meaning they control entertainment, they control media, they control music, they control everything that comes into us. And you have to remember, if the enemy can control what goes into the mind, then the enemy can control what the results of the mind is as well. So he controls the reactions and the responses by controlling what goes in. The eye is the key to the soul. And so remember, psychological warfare. And so remember, they use symbols as a token of psychological warfare. We talked about in another video about symbols not just being pictures, but symbols can be patterns of speech. They can be actions. And so through these symbols, though, they become embedded into our unconscious mind. Just we begin to attach to a symbol without knowing its meaning. We don't no longer have a meaning. And so it is with Christianity. Christianity has been programmed into our minds. Christianity is, you have to understand, like I say, he controls our mind. It's psychological warfare. Thoughts are energy. You see what I'm saying? And so as such, because they're energy, they can easily be made manifest into reality. And we understand this ourselves because everything that we know that exists now pretty much came into being because it was thought before it was made manifest. You think of something and then you create it or you produce it. Thoughts are energy, and thoughts be made manifest into reality. And so as we understand the thought process and we understand the psychological warfare, how things are manipulated into our mind, now we understand that the power of a united group of thought is far greater than the power of individual or separate thoughts. So if you have a collective conscious group with their attention and energy focused on one direction, mainly Jesus, or the Christ energy, because it's its real energy, but the name Jesus. But when you have people directed in the direction of an energy, you see what I'm saying? Now that power is far greater than all of the sum of the individual thoughts. So this is where the three religions come into play. Like I say, Judaism is the one running it, but the Islam and Muslim, the Islam and Christian, even the wars that are going on right now, ISIS and everything, are wars based between Islam and Christianity. But they really aren't separate. It's just a lie that's been duped on people. It's the same one group fighting both sides and making it appear to be one way to the general population and public as they continue to manipulate our minds. Now I'm going to use some words now, and I know for us Christians, these words are words that we don't really want to hear, so I'm going to use some words, and the words I'm going to use are occult powers of the mind and spirit and psychic energy. Now I understand that in the church, we've been taught that these words are the devil, Bobby. And so whenever somebody mentions occult power, psychic energy, astrology, zodiac, we've been taught that that's the devil. And so within the church, we taught not to even entertain, don't allow that they'll put a spell, and I'll say this too, because this was one problem that I had even when I was in the church. And that was one, I believe, why I was open to hear truth, because one thing about me is that I believe this: truth stands on its own. And if I have ultimate truth, then I don't need to be afraid of anybody else's information. When you come to me with information, I'm going to take your information because I know mine is truth. And I'll take yours and I'm going to actually go and research and study it so I can come back and debunk you and show you the error of your way. And honestly, that's how I ended up out of the church, is by people coming to me with information, but me being real enough with myself to do the research and not just say, oh, well, that's not this, or the Bible don't say that. I would tell them I do not know the answer. But I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to go research and find out so I can come back and give you an answer. And after so many questions, answers, and then begin to research and begin to look and research, like I say, if you begin to search yourselves, the truths are right there, right in front of our face. And a lot of them are even right in the Bible. We've just been taught the wrong way and we misunderstand, because what they've done with the Bible, and we hit on, is they've taken ancient religions and they've stolen and stripped from them, and then they've changed and they've added and they've mixed and matched. You see, like I said before, the greatest lie you can ever tell has to have a mixture of truth in it. If you tell a lie that is 100% fabricated, then it's going to be found out real easy. But if you tell a lie that's just got a mixture of truth in it, and people go to try to look at your lie, because it's got enough or a little bit of truth in it, then you actually got a little bit to stand on. You can fool some of the people with that lie. You see what I'm saying? Maybe not everybody, but you can fool some of the people. And this is where we stand at now with Christianity. We've been lied about. And the reason, and you have to understand, when I talk about these things, this occult power and psychic energy, this is the whole reason why they've lied about history and tried to cover up the truth anyway in the first place, is because they know the truth about psychic power, psychic energy, about your own power, your own energy. They know the truth. And so what they've done is they've stolen the truth and they've tried to take the truth out. Let me just share this word with you. I'm gonna go forward in a second, but let me just read this word, because this word, I love it, and I always like to look at it for myself. And the word is religion. And the reason I need to look at this word religion is because this is and I've said it before, Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. I'm not making nothing up. This is real dictionary. I'm going to hold it right here and read from it so you see I don't change anything. But under the definition of religion, it says a supernatural constraint to restrain or to tie back. So when we talk about a supernatural constraint to restrain or tie back, that means to hold or to hinder or to subdue or to contain. So religion contains your true spiritual being and contains your true spiritual power. But you have to understand, these are things that they knew in the beginning. This is why they fought so hard to, like I say, eliminate and strip true history. Because what you have is you have a select group of people that understand truth and understand who we are as people and understand what we're capable of and what's available to us. But what they wanted to do was keep this power and knowledge for themselves so that they could rule over everybody instead of us all living in peace and equality. They want to rule over everybody else. You see what I'm saying? And they want to be the power structure, and they do this through manipulation and mind control because they understand that occult power is real and it's truth, and they've lied and told us that it's the devil, Bobby, and then they've given us the devil, Bobby, the lie of Jesus and this made up religions that they've given us, and they've told us, here you go, this is truth, and we swallow and eat it all up when it is not truth. Whenever Christianity would come into an area to whenever they would, as Christianity began to grow and build itself, to establish itself, whenever they would come into an area or a territory, what they would do is that they would remove all of the spiritual texts, all the ancient spiritual texts and all of the ancient records. They would remove them or destroy them, and everybody who had knowledge, they were mass murdered. This was called the Inquisition, and they would rule them as witches and sorcerers and wizards, and they would make because what they wanted to do was they were ridding the true knowledge and true history away from people, the true psychic power and abilities, and then they wanted to fill it with their lie, and they kept it. Right now in the Vatican, there are miles and miles long of hidden underground vaults where they have all of these esoteric knowledge and esoteric texts and books, ancient religions and things that they have stored away and kept secret and hidden from general population. This is not made up stuff. These are not stories that I talk about. This is real stuff. This is truth. You have to understand, the Bible itself is Christianity is nothing but a program. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing spiritual about Christianity. Nothing. People suffering from depression, hopelessness, confusion, so many things about life, and coming to the church and are still suffering and struggling and dealing with the same issues for years upon years upon years upon years. And nobody ever asked the question why. And that's because it's dead. It's not true. But when we talk about the group thought, when we talk about the united thought, and we talk about occult power and manipulation, and we talk about psychology and the things that they understand and that they're using, you have to understand the united group of thought. If everybody together on Sunday morning, we all got our hands stretched forward and we praying for the brother, everybody, 500 people or 100 people in the room, all in united thought praying, that does give a spark, because it's still a psyche. We still, our energy, we are energy, our power is in our mind. But the spark we get is just like trying to flick a lighter that doesn't have flame, and all you get is the sparks, and you don't get the actual fire. And so the sparks has been enough for centuries or for our people to be duped and to believe it. That's not the power. That's just the spark. That's not the power that's available to us. And these people understand this. They know this. And this is what they've done. They've taken, like I say, they've stolen Christianity from other ancient religions that have predated it, and they've corrupted it and created Christianity. The Bible itself is one of the most powerful subliminal tools that could ever be used, and it's, like I say, it's just a few select people that are using it to enslave the rest of us masses. It is full of subliminal tools of occult numbers, messages, allegories, so many things that are occult knowledge that they have instilled. This is why Jesus makes the number of 13. 12 wise men means the 12 zodiac. I mean, I won't go into that now. We're going to dig into it deeper. I want to go step by step. I just want to be able to spark the interest of people enough to, like I say, begin to at least look at where we are in our amnesia state and say, wait a minute. And as we understand where we are and realize that we don't know who we are or where we are, we can't continue to just accept what's been given to us, this lie of Christianity. We must begin to question the very foundation of what they've told us, because this was the major tool that was used against us. That's why Sister Barbara Hillary made the statement, it is the greater rape, the greater shackle of the black man than Christianity ever was. This is what the Willie Lynch letters was about, as I continue to repeat. The Willie Lynch letters were psychological warfare, that they said if we were to put these tools into practice, we could enslave this people. It's all about the mind, people. It's all about being free and getting the third eye blind. The third eye open, excuse me. And this is what it's about. But it's only if we begin to question. We have to look and see the things that are right in front of us. Evidence and proof is right before our very eyes. Like I say, this is going to be a series. This first one I was hoping to just spark us. Just to spark, because I'm going to go and dig deeper now, and we're going to go into scriptures. But the scriptures mean nothing if you're going to completely, disregard the statement, if you're not going to have an open mind to at least hear and receive and then go back and do research for yourself. Don't discredit what I'm saying and say I'm just lying. I'm a former preacher, a minister of this gospel, so I know what I'm talking about. Don't just discredit or disregard me. Go back and do the research. And that's why this one was about sparking your mind and making you just pause for a moment and look at where you are and realize how you got here. And then stop lying to ourselves and realize and pay attention to the truths that we know we can see directly right in front of our face. But then to acknowledge, don't be angry at yourself for not knowing what you did not know before you knew it. It's not our fault. We have been manipulated and brainwashed. It's not your fault. You are not ignorant, dumb, nor stupid that you are lost and that you are blind. Don't let other conscious brethren and sisters use words like you dummies, and don't allow that to throw you off track. You still have to find an awakening within yourself, and it takes time for each of us. But I'm one that understands it's not your fault. It's not your fault. But it is your fault if you continue to turn a blind eye and not acknowledge the information that is being given to you. You must go and study to show yourself approved. You see what I'm saying? And notice even in the Bible where it said that Paul, like the Bereans, they were more noble than those in Thessalonica, and that they searched the scriptures daily to see if it were so. You see what I'm saying? That's the book of Acts, because it talked about they searched daily to see if it were so. In other words, they never gave in weariness to continuing the search. The book itself tells you that you study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman that need not ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. You see what I'm saying? And he said, so this is what these are scriptures. This is your own religion telling you to dig into and follow truth. Don't allow them to continue to brainwash and manipulate and control our minds. Young people, I'm telling us, please wake up. Please wake up. I love you people. It's your boy Jay Free. I'm out.